Oh, he's gone live.
No, it's too late. I've gone gung ho, Mike.
Oh, he's done it. He don't care.
Don't
be under the misapprehension. This is a democracy. It's a Bruce dictatorship tonight, isn't it?
I feel like this is Three Men and a Baby. We've been given Alex's baby, and this is like the comedy 1980s film that is going to determine whether or not we are qualified enough to look after it. I'll be Steve Gutenberg.
I'm just looking at the comments to see if we're actually live yet or not. Just not talking to ourselves. Let us know if you can hear us. That'd be great.
We're live. Why wouldn't we be live?
Because you're in charge of it. That's why it won't happen. If something's going to fuck up, you're usually at the result of it.
Well, how do I see the comments?
Exactly.
I normally switch off when Alex starts talking about the comments.
Do you not appreciate the public forum, Bruce?
No. I need my glasses on to see it, and Alex sort of knows what he's doing, and I sort of just leave him to read the comments out. I did see Eddie Fogden had put a comment when Alex asked about what did Eddie put? Oh no, that's to be fair.
I think Jack can hear us. Evening, Jack.
That's for the main pod actually, rather than the chat shit bit.
Okay.
Andrew now says we're coming in loud and clear. I don't know if that's
yes.
Great. My missus says that you can hear me from outside the house anyway when I talk because I'm deaf.
What?
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. But so we can't go on. Yeah, we can't go on before talking about the breaking news that Mike has just given us. Literally before we click the live button, that Mike has bought a caravan. So please tell me this caravan is in Cleethorpes.
I'm not sure if it is at the minute. It will be at the end of October. I'm not sure where it is at the minute.
When the kitchens are finished with it. Yeah, the kitchens have got it.
It's a static, but I'm not sure where it currently is static. So I've gone full Yorkshire, and I've fed up of just using somebody else's caravan at Thorpe Park. I've decided I'm going to get my own, and I can come for a day, I can stay for a week, I can stay for as long as I want now.
Wow.
So I've gone full Yorkshire. I was going to start tying knots into a handkerchief and putting it on my head, but my wife said that was a bit too far.
I think you've got to be careful to go full Yorkshire, Mike. But this is what I think. This is wonderful news, and I can't wait for the DN35 branding to be put all over your caravan, and turn it into a mini recording studio as well. You and Alex on the road in the caravan, going to different away games.
Youngie, I've already prepped. Oh. This is seamless, right, Mike? Stop. This is seamless, right? This is the local reaction to Mike's announcement.
I don't think I can travel all over in it, Rich. It's a big off static one. I'm not taking it anywhere.
I was thinking like rude. Alex and Mike's Road to Nowhere, like Max and Paddy just rocking up outside, Swindon town in your caravan.
With a big fuck off static caravan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
what could possibly go wrong? Especially with me and Alex doing it. What could go wrong?
It's a sitcom waiting to happen.
Everything that Alex takes anywhere gets lost.
That's a point.
Look at the flag. Look at the flag.
See, well, we could take the caravan into the away end, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it'll soon go. It's
like 30 foot, mate. I'm not taking it anywhere.
So it's driveway or Thorpe Park, basically.
Well, you see how much it is to move it? It's staying where it bloody well is. Get this idea out your head. You're taking it somewhere, Rich. It's not going in your driveway. And it's not going to Carlisle.
It'll move in 10 years when Thorpe Park floods. It'll be like Noah's Ark, man.
I've got oars just in case.
Good call. Well, if by the way you want to discuss what animals that Mike can put on his caravan ark, please message the group tonight. We'll love your suggestions.
I'm not too sure about putting all the DN35 stuff in there because it is getting rented out and will probably be rented out by quite a few Yorkshire people. And I want it to still be in a condition that is livable.
I think it's nice, Mike. I think it's nice that of all the places in the world, you come back to Cleethorpes.
And I'm not even from there. That makes me extra nice, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Boomerang McMahon.
But I was at the Chef Wednesday game, and they were annoying me so much. Even I nearly joined in with the Comfort Day stuff.
We have a
Before going back to
guy,
Yorkshire.
Alan, who sits near us in the Finders. He is from
Alan,
Yorkshire.
yeah.
And he joins in with all of them. So he has no shame at all. So
It made me laugh when they're saying Grimsby's a shit on. I'm like, I've gone past about 400 of you in Thorpe Park today. Like, I've never said A up so much. When I lived in Yorkshire, I never said A up so much as I did at Thorpe Park.
yeah,
Has it been raining with you today, Mike? Just change the subject completely.
A little bit. Why?
Because it's been. Because I thought earlier on you were going to need your arc up here. It was biblical.
No, that was Wednesday down here. We had that on Wednesday. Pop my head out, see if there's any 2x2 going anywhere, but no.
Sorry, anyway, I just looked outside and everything's still very damp looking, moist.
Oh, we'll get complaints. Don't use that word. People hate that word.
yeah,
Sorry.
you can't use moist.
Can't
Wet.
say moist.
It's
Can't
very
say
wet.
moist.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
We
think
don't-
Alex has replied.
Alex
Alex
has
has
confirmed
replied.
we're
Hang
doing
on.
that. Sounds like we're
Oh,
doing
he's-
everything right. That's good.
Yes. So the poor sods that listen in the week can still listen.
Are we on?
Yeah, I've got the credits
Are we
ready.
in the credit?
I've got the
I'd
credits
do
ready.
that, mate, because talking about the weather, I mean, you've killed it. Like, just
Okay,
let's just
here we go.
crack on now.
Open wide for some soccer!
And now the shipping forecast issued by the Met Office on behalf of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency at 1130.
Go!
At 1130.
I don't think I've ever wanted to be in a stand more than my life for in there. They're going crazy. Hey, they got penalty here. There'll be fish flying about there. There's no tomorrow.
What a magnificent piece of football! A really, really good goal. You can't make it straight like that.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a rudderless DN35. Alex has decided to leave us in charge of his baby. So this could be the last hour of DN35 you possibly ever see, but we will try not to get banned. We will try to keep this ship afloat. And with me this evening is the wonderful Bruce Fenwick and Mike. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
It could actually be the first time that we ever win an award tonight. Imagine if this episode wins an award.
From who? Who's giving
Wow.
any awards for this shit? I'll be honest. What Rich said is quite true. With me, you, and him, this is very likely the last time we're together.
So
It's
let's
been emotional.
embrace it. But to be fair, if we can be anything like Oasis, in 20 years' time, we'll be selling tickets, 150p a pop. We'll be dynamic pricing the podcast, and everybody will want the band back together. So if we're going to do this, let's start throwing guitars at each other by the end of the episode.
I
I'll
don't know
tell
if
you
I've
what,
already been the twat that said I've got tickets, but
Thanks.
I
for
think
that,
I might be some sort of producer in 20 years' time, mightn't I? I'm ready for
I
retirement.
tell you, I'm looking
you won't
at
be
the
alive in
Frenchman.
20 years'
The
time.
Frenchman was an absolute disgrace when he went on.
He
You won't
was a
be around in
disgrace.
20 years.
I-
Fucking hell.
In 2024, I produced a fat level DM35 and it all went to shit. That's old Bruce Fenwick there. We might as well talk about football, haven't we? I suppose we've got to. That's why people
That's novel.
kind of listen to this. It is novel. And we went to Grimsby went to Chesterfield yesterday. 995, according of us, sold out the away end. A very loud crowd from both sides. I have to say, it was a very atmospheric game. I always say this: shit referees make for good atmospheres. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. It ended Chesterfield 2, Grimsby 1, but it was a valiant effort. Mike, what did you think of the game yesterday?
It's a funny one because I was immensely frustrated, but for all the wrong reasons, really. I think in the whole, I think we were quite good, and I think it's another sign of improvement that we're on the right track. And I think it's a tough place to go. And I think when you gift them 2 goals, which we did, it's even tougher to come back from that. So the frustrating part is that other than 2 individual errors, one massively bigger than the other, and I'm talking about Rodgers. I thought we were well deserving of something from that game. And to go to Chesterfield, who spent a lot of money and are favourites for a promotion place, I would have been at the start of the season very apprehensive about going there. But watching that 90 minutes of football, I was quite impressed with the bits we did. Obviously, we're not the finished article. We're not clinically enough when we get some chances. That needs to come, and I'm sure it will do. And we really need to cut out these individual errors. I can't tell you how annoyed I was with the Rodgers error. Right on the stroke of half time, you're away from home, you're 1-0 down against a run of play. Don't concede. You don't need to score in the first half, but just do not make it 2. And we did. And then we go into half time, win probably out of us a little bit for understandable reasons. But then I think we came out on the front foot as best we could. And I think Charles Burnham scores an absolute screamer and puts us back in it. And we just didn't have enough for want of a better word, to get over the line. We got into good positions. We just didn't pick the right pass. We weren't clinical enough. We had a couple of headers. They didn't go in. They were straight at the keeper. So all in all, frustrating, but encouraging that we're in a position where we're going away to Chesterfield and playing some decent stuff and probably deserve something, because I think that's a massive step forward, building on last week.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think I thought for the first 20 minutes we were really good yesterday, until the goal, really, until their goal, which kind of went against the run of play. Bruce, how much of the game did you actually get to see yesterday? I know you said you kind of limited.
I saw little bits on people's phones. Maisie had a first game of the season yesterday, so we went to Broughton and then came back, and we went into town to Rax. We thought, right, the game's on, we'll go and watch the game and have a few beers. And the game wasn't on in Rax. They had a problem, or they didn't have Sky Sports Plus or whatever it was. So we ended up watching it on phones and Soccer Saturday. But people were talking to me about it, and as it was happening, and I saw little bits on people's phones. Looks like we started absolutely brilliantly. We were playing really, really well, and I think it sort of sums up, from what I can gather and from what I saw, the usual, not the usual, because I don't like it when people, it pisses me off. You go on social media and, oh, we've not been able to take our chances for years. Yeah, but that's other teams. That's not these players. That's it's, do you know what I mean? It looks like we didn't take the chances that we had. We gave away 2 soft goals, and then you're up against it. And we were punished again. We were punished for our mistakes. But going on social media after the game, or well, to be fair, this morning when I'd sobered up, it wasn't the usual social media reaction to a defeat. It was people could see what we were trying to do and what we'd done, and I think we've moaned, or I've been one of the ones that's moaned for a long, while towards the end of Hurst's tenure, I didn't know how we were trying to score. I didn't know what we were trying to do. I didn't know what our aim was, and you can see what we're trying to do. He's already said it's going to be, there's going to be bumps in the road, but by all accounts, it was a decent performance. We just didn't take our chances and we made silly mistakes. So it'll be interesting to see how long it is before Farm comes back in, and I guess moving forward, whether what he does with the keeper. I don't think he'll drop the keeper personally after 4 or 5 games. I think Wright will get a bit of a run at it unless something changes drastically.
Yeah, I think I was about to kind of bring on the subject of the goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper is the most scrutinised part of a player on the pitch, isn't it? Because as a goalkeeper, if you make an error, the chances are it costs you a goal, and it's wide and it's visible and everybody's there to see it. The one thing that kind of worries me a little bit about Jordan Wright at the moment is that he doesn't look confident. And as soon as he makes an error, he seems to really go into his shell. And I thought yesterday after that goal, which I don't think was as obvious an error as maybe people are making it out to be, I thought that we defended that set piece quite awfully. The fact that for some bizarre reason, Svan Thornton was a one-man wall, letting the free kick go in was bizarre. But after that, you could see that Wright was doubting his own decisions all the way through the game. And I thought as well after the mistake he made against Bradford last week. Obviously, Bruce has just said that he doesn't think that Wright is going to get dropped anytime too soon. Mike, what are your kind of thoughts? And should we be concerned?
I wouldn't be too concerned. It is an issue and it needs addressing. How you address that, I'm not sure. There's two school of thoughts. There's, do you plough through it, back him and hope he comes good, with the risk that if you take him out, it might destroy his confidence? Or there is the risk that if he is so unconfident, and we don't know that, we can just go on body language really, is it better to take him out the firing line, let them come again? We've all seen players that, bad bits of form or start making mistakes. You take them out and you put them back in. Now, usually it's not as noticeable because it's an outfield player and there's one goalkeeper on the pitch. That's difficult to do. I mean, personally, I'd give him a game or two, see how it goes, and then I'd be looking at taking him out. The issue I've got, or the theory I've got, and I don't know how true this is first, I think it's key to say he's played games in league football. He's well thought after from Lincoln. He came with good recommendations. So I do not buy the argument that he's shit. It's quite easy for fans, isn't it? You're either brilliant or you're shit. It's very rarely that they're either. Somewhere they're in the middle. So I think that's just too easy to say. What I did notice is I was watching, when I was at the Bradford game, I was down the bottom of the main stand and I was watching the keepers warm up for quite a long time. And I don't know if this is just a novelty on that day or if it's something more long standing. Maybe you guys could tell me. It's when he had the ball at his feet, he wasn't playing a pass out to Crowdson about 30 yards away on the line. It was going straight into the Findus, or if he was playing it to Eastwood on the left, it was going into the main stand. And this is no pressure on the ball. It's just ball still. Can you play a pass? And I'm wondering is this keeper comfortable with the ball at his feet? Because if he's not, having the ball at your feet so much in a game, if you're not comfortable, that's going to affect your confidence. So I'm wondering, are we giving the ball too much to his feet and that's affecting his overall performance? That could be bullshit, but it's the only thing I've got because he's well thought after and he's played games. So I don't buy this that he's just crap. I'm wondering, is he maybe not as good with his feet and that's affecting his confidence? You guys probably seen him going there week after week. You've probably seen him warm up. Is that something that's normal or was that just a bad day warm up?
I'll be honest, Mike, I don't really see the warm-up.
You're in the bar.
I don't really see the warm-up now. I don't drink every game, but I don't very often. We don't seem to get there in time to. Maisie likes to go and watch the warm-up, but I'd rather have a chat and catch up with people. And I don't sort of, the flag waving and that sort of thing. Don't see a lot of that really, but yeah. Yeah,
I wouldn't ordinarily. It was just the circumstances of where I was that I was just watching him.
So. No. I think it's an interesting one though with the keeper because, like you say, it's sort of what's more important: one player's confidence or the greater good of the team. And but I was just saying to we had a guy around earlier on doing some work on the front door, and we were saying I just said, "There's no reserve football anymore." If you're making mistakes and you need to pull him from the first team to go and get some confidence. Where do you go? What do you do? There's nothing. So the collapse of a decent competitive reserve league is no good for anyone. If you're a 22-year-old or a 21-year-old or 19, whatever, and you come out of our youth team, where do you get your grounding against men? It's just training, isn't it? And it's the same for the keeper. Normally you pull him out, you play a few games. Get a bit of confidence back, and then you batter it on the manager's door. Right, I'm ready, Gaffer. Put me back in. And I don't know where they do that now. They've only got the training ground.
I'm a bit reticent to sort of dig him out too much because I don't think we've lost a game of football because of him, and I don't think we lost yesterday because of him. I think from my angle, watching on television, it looked like either the wall was in the wrong place or he didn't save it, and I thought that was an error. What I would say in the second half, he made a cracking save one-on-one with Will Griggs. Big, brave, came out, put everything in there, and that's what you want from your goalkeeper. So full credit to him there. And I don't think he's lost as a game of football. So I think, again, sometimes when we're talking about football, we do go to extremes, and I don't think he's terrible. I just think he looks a bit unconfident, and that might be an issue later down the line. I don't think he's at fault for the second goal, which is the killer. That's Rodgers, and I think that is basic school. I don't want to say schoolboy, but every person that's kicked a football knows that when you're in the 6-yard box, you don't turn out and start trying to dribble it out from a set piece. You get rid of it, right? I'm a fat bastard. I don't play anymore. But even I know that, and I remember that. If that's me, I'm putting my foot through it. So I don't want to dig him out too much, and I think we lost yesterday for other reasons, not him.
Yeah, Bruce mentioned about lack of reserve team football, and I think Evan Curry is a prime example of what the issue is with lack of reserve team football. By the way, Evan Curry's been brilliant over the last few weeks, and I'm not this is me digging him out or anything like that, but we still consider him a young and inexperienced player, but he's 22, 23. Mm-hmm. Now, in the 90s, he would be playing, or wherever he may be, he would have been playing with men at 16, 17 in reserve team games, playing against experienced players, playing against even like I remember going to watch reserve team games at Blundell Park, and you'd have Premier League teams come and players that are coming back from injury, starting for them and getting a run out. And that was all part of the experience. Now, so the whole under-23 system works for the Premier League. That's great, but it certainly doesn't work for teams at our level. It stunts youth development. Because it doesn't give them a chance to kind of that bridging gap between the youth team and the first team.
He's not young anymore, but I think I said a few weeks ago he's young in terms of the amount of football he's played. And when you're a young player, the more football you can play, the quicker and the better you get. And he's an example of somebody who's not had the chance to play football consistently, whether it's through injury or not getting a loan move. And I think what you're seeing now is you're seeing him improve because he's been playing some football. And the more games he plays, the better he looks. He's playing at left back or centre midfield. I think he's been fantastic this season so far in both those positions. Maybe not so much at Notts County, but wipe that from my memory. So it's an interesting one. You need to get these players out playing games, and usually it's places like Grimsby. They send their Lucas or their Ubiquus to. You know, there's not many decent places you'd want to send Corey to be a midfielder that's got a lot of the ball and passes a lot, because you got the further levels you go down, that's not what the game's about.
Well, the thing is as well that in the old days you would have been, when there was a reserve, you know, we're perhaps dwelling on it a bit much, but I've thought it for quite a long time. But in the old, you know, there would have been, you would have been playing reserve football against League Two footballers. You know, we'd have been playing. You didn't play the reserve league didn't have non-league teams in it. It was League Two. You know, we'd be playing the teams that were in League Two in Leagues 1 and 2 probably in the north of England, and you would be playing against that, like you say. But when we loan the young players out, with due respect, they go to Cleethorpes or they go to somewhere in the Conference North or something like that, and it's not the same. Yes, it's men's football, but you're not up against the same kind of players. You know, you've been playing the old bastard that wanted to kick you up in the air that wasn't ready to quite jack it in yet, or like you say, you'd be playing, you know, other young lads, or you'd be playing people coming back from injury, or people trying to play themselves into form, and it's just not there anymore. And I agree completely that's probably not helped the likes of Corey. And you look at Paul Hurst and how when he's been here, he's been very, very cautious in playing young players, in my opinion. You know, I wouldn't ever say Paul Hurst was one for blooding youngsters. Not regularly. Somebody might shout out a name or two, but and he would have been able to go and watch them in a reserve league week after week and think, yeah, this lad's ready. Now we can go and watch them at Chorley or, you know, Bromley or wherever it would have been back in his first tenure in non-league, and you think, well, it's not quite the same, is it?
I think just one thing on that, Bruce, and I've got a wider point that links into what you said about Hurst, is a move to somewhere like Cleethorpes is the first move. It's your 18, 19, and that you go in there for a couple of months to get kicked and just to man up a bit. That's basically it, get used to men's football. Then after that, you're on a pathway where you're going to other clubs and maybe progressing a little bit and getting more away from that. Your Cleethorpes is your first move to get used to it. But just the thing about Hurst and the development and using young players, just to link in with something about Artell, is I think a point of that was where we were at the time, only having a certain number of subs on the bench as well, and there being such a pressure to deliver straight away. Is, are you going to chuck in a Dale Southall for 6 months of the season, see how he develops, when there's so much pressure on you to get up and to get promoted? And just in terms of what you said earlier about social media reactions, I said last week that we can see how this team's playing now. We can see that they can do it, and we can see what we're trying to do. And I really do believe now's a time where us as a fan base just have to take a step back and go, look, this isn't going to work every week. We need to give it some time. And if we get absolutely battered next week and then we get a win the week after, that's just a byproduct of it. Because we need to give that bit of patience. And I do think, and this is a question for you guys, over the last couple of weeks since transfer deadline day, I've been thinking about this. And I think we project, just fan base as a whole, we project the last 10 or 15 years of failure onto Artell a little bit. If you look at his starting point and where we are now, I don't think he's too far. He's probably a little bit ahead of where he started with that Hurst team. But from lots of things I read on social media, we seem to link the fact we've been shit for 20 years to Artell. And I don't think that's particularly fair. He took over a team that had taken a backward step last season. I think he got the best out of it that he could have done and got the best result he could have done with that team. And for me, I've just tried to wipe the slate clean this season and say, right, Fleetwood away, that was the first game. And that's where I'm going to start to draw my conclusions from, instead of always harking back to when's the last time we did this? When's the last time we did that? We are where we are, and we need to have a little bit of patience and a little bit of recognition of that and just see where we get to. Because constantly moaning about we've been shit for 15 years, we'll still be shit for the last 15 years. It doesn't help.
No, we can't change the 15 years, can we? That's been and gone. I actually think that, Bruce said it, and I think he was right. It was the most measured I'd probably seen the reaction generally over the socials yesterday for a long, long time after a loss. I think most people you're right, Mike. They can see what he's trying to do. I think it's blatantly obvious. And we went to a team yesterday who were in, who are probably going to be up there at the end of this season, and we gave them a game. Now, the only and this is what the next part I was going to bring up, is the only probably biggest disappointment, and for me, even more disappointing than the two individual errors, that perhaps we didn't give it much of a go once they went down to 10 men. I know that we had a bit of a spell in the last 5 minutes, but actually they had the better chances after they went to 10 men, hit the bar, hit the post, and pressured us. Do we think that there's maybe an issue with energy in the team, that after maybe 60, 70 minutes, we're flagging? Because there does seem to be a little bit of a pattern this season.
I think early on in the season, he said, didn't he? Look at it. Was it the home game against Bradford where we ended up with the two fullbacks in centre midfield? And it was just literally down to the number of bodies we've got. And he said that he felt that we just were down on numbers. But the bench, I noticed, Tharm's been on the bench the last couple of games, hasn't he? And there are others sort of starting to be there or thereabouts. Obviously, Danny Rose missed the start of the season. I heard in his interview that Thompson's, touch wood, doing well. And so I think it's just numbers, isn't it? And I think that's so. I mean, all the teams. We're playing a bit more of a press this year, though, young, aren't we, as well? We're trying to close players down a little bit more. So we're going to be, I would imagine, the players have been asked to cover more distance than they would have been last season. So apart from the machine green, it's they are going to tire, but we need to. That's where the manager earns his money, isn't it? Knowing when to make the changes. I've got a few comments here. Shall I read a few of these?
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce. Absolutely.
Right. Kroll Mariners says Eastwood's kicking isn't as good. Look against Sheffield Wednesday and Bradford. Nearly every kick went out. So that's comparing him to what we talked.
That's true. We've got two keepers that may have an issue with it.
Andrew Matthews says Wright will come good, he'll be fine, which hopefully is correct. Alan Dent says need our 3 injured players back. I think we're going to have injuries through the season, but we have been unlucky with the people that have been injured. The centre half and 2 midfielders, then we'll be a good team and winning matches regularly. Pete says completely disagree. As a club that averages around 6k at home and 1k away, I think we have been more than patient with most managers. And I think that's your point. That's sort of around your point, really, Mike, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Pete.
On,
I don't disagree with Pete. I think we sort of agree, but maybe we don't realise we agree. I'm not saying we haven't been patient, but I'm saying that a lot of the grief Artell gets, I honestly think, relates to the fact about how shit we have been. And that isn't anything he can do about that. And as well, with the owners, they took over us when we got relegated. We got promoted at the first time. We had a good consolidation season and had an FA Cup quarter-final, and then they've just had a shit season. So again, in terms of how the progress is going off the field, they've had one bad season, of which we didn't go down. So I do think a lot of the negativity that's around the place sometimes, I think, is historic. And we're right to be frustrated about where we are. Absolutely. I don't want to be where we are. And I think I said this with Pete on the space on Twitter. I don't accept it, but this is where we are, and we can only go from where we are.
Do you know, actually, we're probably all guilty of, all of us that have been around for a while are probably all guilty of it. The amount of times that Maisie says to me when we're sat at the ground how negative I am, and that's because, like you say, you've sat and watched 20 years of general shit, and this is a new manager that we've seen it all before. But as you say, he can't control anything that's happened before. He can only control what's happening now and in the future. And I think, unlike last season, where we ended up going back to basics, this year, I think as well, you know, people can see what we're trying to do. And the reason that people are not probably complaining about yesterday, yes, we're complaining that we made individual mistakes and we didn't take our chances up the other end. But the social media reaction is because people went to that game and they were entertained despite us losing. And we've said before, haven't we, with Hurst's pragmatic approach, if we lost, it looks absolutely dog shit because we'd only have one. We might not have we might have one effort on goal in the game. But somebody going to say something.
Yeah, just one last thing. Look, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this. I proper lost my head last season when we lost off to Doncaster, where we got absolutely battered. I lost my head. You know, I wanted him out. And the frustration got to me, and I've looked back on that a little bit, and thought of wondered, was that particularly fair? And that's why this season I've tried to say, wipe the slate clean, and anything from Fleetwood onwards is where I'm going to judge it. Because I lost my shit. I got frustrated. I've supported Town. They haven't been higher than League Two, right? I've not seen these glory days in the Championship and what have you. I've seen Russell Slade as my first manager being a proper fan. So it's all been shit. So I get how annoying it is, but just getting angry about it is probably warranted, but it won't help. Is what I mean.
I think you have to kind of sometimes separate reactionary behaviour and the week afterwards, so to speak. I think sometimes we all do it, don't we? We all come out of the ground after a defeat. Pass the ball sideways. Everyone moaned. It's funny we say this about managers. Did you go to the speakers evening with Alan Buckley when he did the Menemies Brews?
I've been to one of the Buckley evenings. Yeah, I can't remember whether it was. Yeah, I've seen him speak. Yeah, very good.
And he said it. People treat me far better now that I'm not here than when they did when I was here. And I think I think if it goes to show, if the mighty Alan Buckley doesn't feel like the fans appreciated him while he was here, then probably nobody's really going to have that much luck with our support. But there you go. That's a different topic entirely. I know, Mike, you're saying about treating this season as a clean slate. But there is one damning stat for Artell, which I think does need to change quite quickly. So yesterday was his 32nd league game in charge. And from losing positions in them 32 games, we've only managed 2 points. And that is it. That's a little bit concerning to me. It's that horrible feeling of as soon as we go 1-0 down, we probably won't going to get back into this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of that though is inherited, and obviously he is responsible for what happened in the second half of last season. Of course he is, but I think that was a stat we talked about last year under Paul Hurst teams. I think it was losing from winning positions. Actually, it was a mindset thing. It's like they would just give too many points away. So yeah, that does have lots of things have to change. You know, I'm not saying that last season is acceptable and that's what we want to achieve and that's the base mark. I'm not. I'm saying whilst things are looking better without being the finished product and obviously still needing improvement, and when we can see what we're trying to do, just need to give it a little bit of time and accept. I think there are going to be games where we're going to be bad, but there are going to be games hopefully like Bradford where we are good, because I know I wasn't on last week, but at Blundell Park, that was, as somebody that doesn't get to Blundell Park as much as most other people, I can't remember when I'd seen football as good as that in person at Blundell Park. Now there's obviously been better football than that. I just mean I haven't been there. So as long as we can keep doing that and things do improve, then fair enough. But stats like that, absolutely, Young, they do need to change. And hopefully over the next couple of months they do.
The good news, gents, we've been running this shop for 35 minutes and we've getting ourselves a new listener. I'd like to welcome to the DN35 family and Alex Green, who has commented saying, why does Bruce look like he's taking it seriously for once, rather than just leaning back, flashing his legs and drinking his beer? Bruce, can you explain?
That is scandalous. That is scandalous. But moving seamlessly on, I'm going to just bring in some of our Twitter.
I'm going to try and plug something.
Some of our Twitter followers. Some of these points we've covered, but I think it's only fair and right that as a professional outfit, we cover all different types of contact that people have made.
Youngie, he's got a posh voice. Have you realised this? He now has a posh voice.
I'm impressed.
Where's this come from, Bruce? You've got a telephone voice.
It's because Alex isn't here, and we've actually got to.
Yourself.
Last time Alex wasn't here, I was sort of half hosting, and I was at the cricket club, wasn't I? Which wasn't a good recipe for a decent podcast.
You took the bollocking well.
3G hosting didn't work. It didn't work.
Well, poor old John had to tell me to shut up on only his second ever podcast.
He did well to wait till his second.
Hearts GCFC says, disappointed with our response to the sending off. We allowed Chesterfield to cope with 10 men. Just call it a work in progress performance. Better to come. We've sort of covered that. Pete Rose is a little bit more negative, I guess. Last back-to-back league wins was March the 23rd. Have had enough of being consistently inconsistent with daft mistakes. I think we agree. But feel this side could still go on a run. So maybe actually he wasn't really negative. Injury's been a curse this season to date and yet to field our strongest 11.
Negatively optimistic, I think he told me he was. Negatively optimistic.
Okay, that's good. Grimsby Boy says, are you guys more optimistic than you were at the start of August? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
I honestly, I looked at these first couple of games and thought, oh my God, we could have lost 5 games and it'd be absolutely terrible. And it would have been, can you imagine if Artell had lost the first couple of games and got tonked at County and absolutely battered at Chesterfield? I think it'd have been terrible. But all in all, in the league, we've won our 2 home games. So Blundell Park now with 4 on the bounce we've won, I think Bruce said. So the home form looks good. Lost 2 away marginally, very close. And then a County game, which I try and wipe from my memory. So I think that's better than I expected.
I think I assume I haven't looked at the league table. We were 11th. I'm assuming we've probably dropped down to sort of 16th or 17th or something like that, have we?
We're still going to
bang on 16th, Bruce. Well done.
Yeah.
I haven't looked, but are we 16th? I haven't. No. Bullshit, Bruce.
Mate, you know me by now that I'm not organised enough to have looked.
Couldn't spell GTFC.
We win again. We win again on Saturday, and we've got 9 points out of 18. And with the start that we had, I think we've got Gillingham to come fairly soon, haven't we? And then the games must start getting a little bit easier after that.
Well, we've
So
got Barrow and Barrow are up there. Barrow have had a good start to the season. We've got Bromley who have had a kind of similar start to us. I don't know if they lost 2-3, I think.
I do worry about teams like Bromley because I think that's where we will struggle. Because I and this could be me just making shit up, but knowing Andy Woodman's teams as I do, they've still got Woodman, haven't they? Was he gone?
Yes, yeah, he's still there.
I think we might struggle to break a team down. I think that's where we will come up stuck. I'm not sure if we've got that extra little bit something different to, the teams like Sutton a couple of seasons ago where we really struggled to beat teams like that. I think we'll struggle against teams like Bromley. When the game's open, or we're playing a Bradford or Chesterfield that like to get forward as well and leave space in behind to play through the thirds, I think we're good. I'm just a bit worried about those teams that maybe come to Blunden Park to nick a 1-0 or get a draw.
Yeah, and Barrow might be similar. If they play like I know that they've changed manager, but if they're still kind of in that same mould that they were last season, they were kind of one of them teams as well, weren't they? They get results by grinding it out, sticking 10 men behind the ball, hitting you on the break or hitting you on a set piece. So it's going to be a test for us in the next few weeks, certainly.
It'll be interesting to see how far we've come, because I would consider the Fleetwood game a game where we did really well until the final third. I think we said that at the time, and then we just didn't have the ability to go that extra little bit. So I think the Bromley game or the Barrow game would be something where we can compare. That's how we were a couple of weeks ago, and how have we progressed? Can we do something a bit different and break down a team that's in a low block?
I think it's vitally important. I think it's vitally important that we score the first goal in those games. We go at them. We go at them from the off. If we get in front, then they've got to come out a little bit, haven't they? Right, I've just finished through these Twitter. Stuart Morton says lots to be positive about. Another batch of decent signings. Progress is clear. One big concern is for me is our keeper good, strong enough to marshal defence. Obviously, we've talked about that. This was submitted an hour ago. Dino says, feel we are improving. It's only a matter of gaining consistency. The 2 goals versus Chesterfield were Wright and Rogers, individual errors. Cut them out and we've won the game. Very simple. Simon Burley says, question, don't know the answer. I can see my name at the end of this. God knows where this is going. Is there a football club we've never done any direct transfer dealing with? Yeah. Bruce will know. No, I haven't got a freaking clue. Pontefract Mariner, Eddie Fogden says, I still feel this year. Eddie is negative. I still feel
Bruce,
like
just to go back to your last thing, I don't think we've signed anybody from Espanyol.
What about Real Madrid?
I think that's another one as well.
Loads.
Yeah, there's loads, mate. Loads.
Was that where Cyril Forbes was from?
That's right.
Real Madrid.
Eddie says, I still feel like we're ages away. Well, he is. He's about an hour and a bit down the road from being a decent team. We're either rubbish in attack or rubbish in defence. One step forward, one step back. Destined to be in the lower mid-table, pack in the 4th division. Feels like we have no ambition or nous to improve on this. I'll move on. Grimsby Exile says, build for a proper go next season. We're having a proper go this year after Christmas. You wait, watch us go. And that concludes my roundup of Twitter posts submitted to the DN35 podcast.
On the on the ambition thing, I think that's massively unfair. I don't know if you guys agree. I know I put something up on Twitter the other day, but they've had the team photo, for example. There's 9 backroom staff, and I went back and checked under previous years there would be 3 or 4. So I think in terms of ambition, I think we're giving the manager and the coaching staff and what have you as much as we can. What they do with it's another matter. But I don't buy the ambition. I mean, we're buying players. We're scouting abroad in Iceland, and we're giving people 3-year contracts. We're looking after players if they have an injury or get an illness to improve our reputation. I think that's massively unfair, to be honest, about ambition. We could not be realising our ambition, but I think we have it.
To counter that, though, Mike, when does a chief photocopier operating officer ever get you 3 points on a Saturday?
No, but he's got 3 coaches. A goalkeeper coach, two physio, and that's without Ben Mortlock, I think, in the picture. So it's actually 10 backroom staff.
No, we put. I think that the foundations have been put in place, haven't they? And we've now got to just convert that by building the squad through the next few transfer windows. and keep improving and keep working on this style of play, because I've enjoyed watching this team probably half of the games this season so far, which is a damn sight better than I enjoyed anything last season.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you could show ambition in different ways as well. I think we're programmed as football supporters, aren't we, to think that ambition is going out, paying 7 figures for somebody, big statement signings, all of that thing. I think we're trying to do ambition in a different way, I guess. We're doing it from behind the scenes, and we're doing it with maybe more intelligent scouting, looking at a little bit more of a sustainable model moving forward. I don't know many teams that have kind of try to do it like us. It could be a disaster. It could end up being the thing that future football is built on. But we're trying something. It is ambition, but it's a different way of showing ambition to what we as football supporters kind of associate it as.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, I look at this team and I think back to when the owners took over and the players like McAtee, who's gone for a few quid, Conte last season. I look at this team and I see Svan Sorsen, McEachran and McJanet. And I think there's 3 really good players that none of us had any idea about before the window. 2 of them from abroad. One of them a lad with really good pedigree that's probably fallen on hard times, but he's got the ability, obviously, from what he's done in the past. And I think if we keep finding these players and they play well, and then they either progress with us or they progress with somebody else, it creates a bit of a pathway. And if that's your niche in League Two, your niche isn't spending Wrexham money or building training grounds outside 100 miles away from where you are. Your niche is you play good football that people want to come and play in because it's nice to play in a good football team, and you get the players that other teams aren't looking at and they have a pathway to progress with you. You're going to be an attractive option. I think that's ambition. They didn't have to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on this scouting infrastructure and sending Artel to Iceland and other countries and Joe Hutchinson over to Ireland and stuff. That costs money, so they're investing in the infrastructure to put these processes in place. And hopefully over time, if you get those right, your club starts to build, your brand starts to build, and you start to progress with it instead of the players just progressing.
I've just thought of something we've cocked up.
Oh,
I was supposed to do one of these halfway through.
Welcome back.
That's where Alex puts the advert, but it generally would need to be in a place when we're not halfway through a discussion on something.
Yeah, I know, but we're 47 minutes in. It's not a great place for an advert, is it? It's I think we've
Welcome
left
back.
a little bit late.
Yeah, well, if by chance you're 47 minutes in and you have just heard them adverts, please.
Nobody's 47 minutes in. Come on.
Buy all of them. Buy all of them. Subscribe to Sky. Get your TalkSport on, whatever it may be. All the sponsors are great.
That was seamless, wasn't it? That was seamless.
Seamless.
He'll take it out in the edit.
He will. To be fair, Mike, you just got on to your last point as well. Is this why you bought a caravan? Are you aiding our accommodation situation? So basically, we're going to have like 4 or 5 kind of foreign signings living at Thorpe Park for most of the season.
You're on to me, mate. You're on to me.
I could just see I could just see him.
I remembered
him running around Thorpe Park. There's a man just come to the caravan and he's got the keys for my caravan.
I remembered back to Holloway. You remember that goalkeeping coach that came for one day before he left and had his caravan? I thought, he's onto something, that man. Might be the only thing he was onto, but yeah. So if I can't flog it to Yorkies, then I'll put an Icelandic winger in it.
Yeah, great. I think that's the future. Imagine all the signings you could sign from Yorkshire.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to be a winger or Icelandic, mate.
No, absolutely not.
Possibilities are endless.
We could plough all the best players from Yorkshire. They say they're their own country. Don't know a lot of the time that people from Yorkshire. You always get it during the Olympics when Yorkshire would be 17th in the medal tournament. Yeah. Perfect. Get them in.
I'm not from Yorkshire. I'm from the People's Republic of South Yorkshire.
Yeah. Do you have rivalry with the Judeans front of North Yorkshire?
There's no point worrying about North Yorkshire. It's just hills and sheep.
That's true. That's a good point. We have got
Does
some
that-
more comments to go through coming through on the YouTubes. We have got Kroll Mariner who says, our start to the season has been so tough. Now we have to play top of the league yet again next match. Yeah, we do. And in fact, our next 5 games, we have got, let's have a look, Barrow, who are up there, Bromley, who are mid-table, Carlisle, who have just sacked the managers. That's always great to play against when you're in a bad run of form. Gillingham, who are top of the league, and Donny, who are also doing very well.
I didn't realise it was that bad.
No,
Yeah.
me neither.
Yeah, not to depress everybody, but I mean,
Oh, thanks, mate.
but you know what? We've overcome the Bradford hoodoo, though, haven't we? That's the first one done. Now it's a Doncaster at Blundell Park hoodoo, isn't it? This is the next step.
And do you know what? It's League Two. We were competitive against Chesterfield. This isn't the Premier League or Champions League. Like, they're League Two clubs. And this is a point that angered me last season. There shouldn't be any club in this division that we're not competitive against. We might not win them all. We might get battered by a few of them. But we should be going into every single game in this league thinking, do you know what? We can win this game easily if we play. Yeah, and I think what yesterday showed me, even though we didn't, is that is true. One for the errors, we could win that game quite easily. And last season, we'd have just been hoping to get away with a 3-0 defeat and not get embarrassed.
It'd be interesting to see as well, won't it, the next couple of home games. Neither of those teams are going to bring many fans with them. It'll be interesting to see how we get on with not such an atmosphere, because the atmosphere's been quite good. You know, we've had Bradford, we've had Sheff Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see how we go. But hopefully we can start on the front foot, which I think we're going to. This team seems to have done that in the last couple of games. And let's go for them. And let's get 3 more points on Saturday.
Yes, let's get into them. Absolutely.
Get into them, Town. Come on.
Get into them, Town. Jack Brown, he says, not being harsh, but goalkeeper needs to organise his wall for the first goalkeeper's responsibility. Andrew Niles agrees with him. Andrew Niles, though, also says that he has enjoyed the football more this season, but the team needs to support Rose and Wilson more. Jane Boyington has said, unlucky not to get at least a point yesterday. Be great to get Farm, Thomas and Davies back. 2 home games to come, 4 points at least from those games. That's belief. That we've just been talking about that, haven't we? That's the belief we need. And Michael Mulholland just says, MTJ, G, JT, JT, JT.
You've got to bear in mind. You've got to bear in mind. You've got to bear in mind that Jane's probably a bottle and a half deep in red now. So
that might be the
that might be tainting her judgment somewhat. But I agree.
True.
Six points from them 2 games.
True. It's when you get to the gin as well. That's when it goes downhill. Then that's when you start ringing up the ticket office and slagging everyone off. And
but we've all been. That's a real good point by Jane, though, because there's 3 players that I would consider key players in the spine of the team. There's 3 players that I think most people would have in their best 11. And they're in the spine of the team. So all the discussions we've had about are we inexperienced, have we got a mentality and what have you? There's 3 players that I think change the team straight away. So it's not as if we're playing our best 11 and this is it. I think we've got young players that can improve. Abiku probably one, Corey as well, and Van Sorsen. But we've also got 3 decent players to come into the spine of the team.
Yeah. So I think we've spoken enough about Chesterfield now. I think we can move on a little bit. And nice news, Grimsby Town women play today at Blundell Park and drew a decent crowd, 400 in, which one thing I will say, I think the club could have done a little bit more to promote it. I only kind of really discovered it maybe Monday, Tuesday that we're playing at Blundell Park, so I don't know whether or not it was a late decision. But even so, got a 2-2 draw in I believe their first league game of the season against, I can't even see who they were playing, Drumfield near Sheffield.
Drumfield, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, Drumfield. Yeah. So I think that's a positive move from the club to have them play at Blundell Park, and hopefully we'll get more of it.
And the dogs were serving food as well, apparently.
Oh, well, I love the dogs.
But dogs were serving food and the bar was open and it was £4 to get in, £2 for kids. What more do you need?
Yeah, it's nice to see them playing at Blundell Park, and hopefully it's the first of many times, and that can only help them in their development and in their exposure in terms of the fan base knowing what's going on. Because I think I only found out I only noticed yesterday when I think I put a message in the group if anybody was going, and a lot of other people I hadn't seen. So hopefully that helps, because I think at times, whilst it's admirable what we're trying to do, I think at times there is a lack of exposure and publicizing what's going on there. But yeah, hopefully this is the first step on a ladder to progress in that way. So yeah.
I think to be fair, they would be the first to acknowledge that the coverage hasn't been the best. And I think Polly's already said, I'm sure I've seen her or heard her in an interview, saying that they want to develop the team. Obviously, they've got new manager in charge with Ben. And I think that they feel they were relegated last season, weren't they? And when you're a club of our stature in the area, your ladies team should be quite strong.
Yeah, I don't think that was it's a motorbike going past my house. I don't mean that too much as a criticism, more of an observation, and hopefully that gets fixed. And I did see from social media today, it was good to see Evan Corey had gone down as well, which is nice to see a first team man's player going down to support it.
Well, interestingly, in development here, our Scandinavian correspondent Justine Jensen has commented that Svan Vornson's girlfriend played at level 2 in Iceland. Could we do it? Could we get
2 for 1 at Iceland?
2 for 1 at Iceland. That's why mums go to Iceland. Come on. There we go. So could we
I would say I think from my strange knowledge of ridiculous, well, not ridiculous, but obscure leagues, I think Iceland's women's league is quite a high standard, actually. I may be wrong. It may be another Scandinavian league I'm thinking of, but some of the Scandinavian women's leagues are really good.
Get her in then. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm sure Joss will tell me I'm talking rubbish, but I think there are a few good teams over that way.
Mike, I've just seen your comment about Pete at 8:28. Is that what we've already talked about now?
Was that on Twitter?
I don't know. You put it in the private chat.
Yeah, we have spoken.
Oh, I said if you can't work the thing, there's a comment from Pete we should maybe discuss.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we've done that.
Do you know this private chat? You can type back and ask me.
I've only just seen it. It's taken me half.
I was out the middleman.
I was trying to drop the hint that people have put in comments. Talk about the comments.
Want to chat about Artel comments about the referee on Radio Humberside? Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Happy, was he? He wasn't happy.
It made me laugh because he did say, he said, I think the referee was disgraced to his profession. And then he paused and said, but I don't want to say too much. It did remind me of somebody saying, no, I don't want to say too much. Like, I'm going to hunt him down and kill him and everybody in his family, but I don't want to say too much. It's like you've already gone over the line, I think. I think I don't want to say too much is translated as, oh shit, I've probably said too much.
The funniest thing was Matt D goes to him after he kind of says it. He went, well, David, this referee has been a league referee since something like 2011. And you could tell Artel's kind of trying to think what he's going to say. And he was like, but he's still part-time. He's probably a teacher.
I think he did well to keep his counsel after the Notts County game, and he's done well to keep his counsel after a few bad performances. And I'm sure he probably will be punished, but I think that's wrong. I don't think what he said was outrageous. I think he's made an observation. I don't think he was insulting, and I don't think he attacked him too much. And he always goes on to make the bigger point that these people aren't supported to be the best. You know, they do have other professions and probably do this on the side, and then you're expecting them to make elite level decisions when they're not elite level referees. So I think it's fair comment. I don't think he was too harsh, actually. I think he just spoke how he saw it, and I would hate, which is the way we're going in with the FA and things, is they're trying to stop people saying what they think in interviews, and just as long as he's not insulted the guy or said anything too outrageous, let people speak how they find it.
Yeah, let's give the referee this look.
Biggest head loss of the week.
Andrew Niles is quite right. It was never a red.
No, it wasn't.
Ridiculous.
But he should have been booked 5 minutes earlier for that women challenge on.
I did say in the WhatsApp group, was it the one that left it on McEachran? I think that's exactly why he's given him a yellow then. I think he's had the opportunity to give him a second yellow, because that tackle on McEachran, I don't think it was a straight red, but it was a yellow card all day long. And he's totally missed it. He's not even given a free kick.
No, it was a very soft booking for the actual sending off, but yeah, he was bad for both teams. To be fair, yesterday it wasn't just it wasn't just for one. He was generally bad, and then Andrew Snouts has now changed his mind after I told him that.
I don't think he affected the game at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he affected the game or the outcome of the game, but I think David Artell was going into detail saying he came and booked me because I'd asked him too many questions, and he booked 4 people on the bench and things like that. And he, sometimes when how these referees do carry themselves does tend to lead to some problems on the pitch as well. I think he was terrible for both teams, but he didn't affect the result.
No, he didn't. We got to get. This is the level, isn't it? We're so used to it over the last, conference refereeing at this level. It's one of the same, unfortunately.
I do occasionally go back and watch this montage I made of Declan Bourne. You remember him against Salford in the pandemic season? I made a little montage of him, and I go and watch that every so often. That's the worst performance I've ever seen.
Is that the one where he disallowed the Matt Green goal?
No, he pulled it. No, he pulled it back when Clifton went through. He pulled it back because I think Matete was having a face-off, and he pulled it back when Clifton was through on goal. And I'll send you it. But it did. Oh, that was terrible. It gives me shivers just thinking about it.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, without knowing it, you have linked us into the final part of this evening by talking about the pandemic year, because after the success of Bruce's Play Your Calendars Right last week, I was trying to scramble over. Fingers, yes, Mike.
Just before you move on, can you maybe after we finish just have a look at redefining what you understand the word success to be?
Two people have told me how much they enjoyed the game, and I know Bruce has had positive feedback as well.
Yeah, lots of people have been saying that they really like it and they want to see it as a regular monthly feature. I am aware that there might be a slight problem in December. I don't want to reveal too much at the moment, but December could be an issue. But yeah, Mike did point out though that last week that we played it slightly wrong, so it shouldn't be. It's not winner stays on, and he's right. I did query it at the time. I wasn't entirely comfortable, but I think I let Sam railroad me into carrying on. But it will be the card that's been turned over that will be the next, or the calendar that's been turned over next time. But it won't be long before it's a finely oiled machine. We'd just like to thank Mike for coming tonight, by the way. It's been really good to see him. We'll see you again soon. But no, go on. You fire away, mate, with your. Do we need somebody else in for the quiz?
No. We can play between it. So basically, the pandemic season is the one I want to talk about today, because I've been basically doing a little bit of research to where some of these players are now. So what I'm going to fire off, and we'll make it a first to 3, maybe a first to 1, to be honest with you, because these are so obscure. But basically, I'm going to give you a name of a player that played for us during the pandemic season, and you've got to name me at least one of the clubs they've ended up playing for since.
Has this come from our little chat in the fan zone? Because we did a bit of this, didn't we? But we couldn't remember.
We did, yeah. It's inspired by it. It's inspired by it. So this is according to the renowned Transfer Market website. So I'm going to give you some players' names, and please tell me, and you can pass it on. I will start with Mike. The first player that I'm looking for, and I can tell you now, so bearing in mind, this season ended 4 years ago. It's not that long ago. He has had since then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clubs. He is Stephen Payne.
Nunny Tavern.
He's not good enough for the Nunny Tavern.
I don't have a clue. I'll pass it on to Bruce. I don't have the foggiest.
Bruce, any of the clubs that Stephen
Turn the comments off, Bruce.
Can you give us any clues? I haven't really followed Stephen Payne's.
There's
he's
one
not
really.
He's not in MMA now, is he?
He's not. No.
I didn't get clues.
That's a good point. Actually, I'll go back to Mike then. Mike will get the first clue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bruce, go to
First
private
clue-
chat. Turn the comments
Bloody
off.
hell, he cries like Sam on these things, doesn't he? I didn't get no
First-
clue. Oh, I'm
first
not
clue
coming on
was-
next week.
Now. We've been going so well in this hour and 5 minutes. First clue is a club that we played in the National League in our 1 year back. That's your clue.
Dover.
Is not Dover. Bruce.
In our 1 year back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bloody hell. I don't know. Altrincham.
Say Wrexham.
I don't know, Youngie. Yeah, this might be a quick quiz. Well,
So-
go on, put us out of our misery.
So he has played for Chesterfield. I could have just said you played him yesterday. Havant and Waterlooville, Wellington. That's not in New Zealand. That is UK Wellington. Tunbridge, and is currently ploughing his trade in the Southern Counties East League for Faversham Town. There we go. So
We
the
didn't
next
play
one-
Faversham Town, did we?
No, we didn't. We didn't play Faversham Town. No, it's Chesterfield. I was referring to, obviously. The next one.
Oh, do we just have to name any of the clubs they've been at?
That was a shit
any of the
clue.
clubs? Yeah, I said any. Yeah.
I knew he'd been
Any-
at Chesterfield.
Well, why do you? I did say any of the
I
clubs.
thought you meant wherever
closed
they
that
are
and-
now. Nah, that's
when
my
they,
fault. Sorry,
when we record this back, we'll prove it. Okay, next I will go with. He was once a Welsh international, and now he is ploughing his trade in the National League South. You can name me one of the 3 clubs he has played for since leaving Grimsby. He is George Williams. Bruce, I will start with you.
George Williams. Oh, no. I'm thinking of George Lloyd. Shit. George Williams. No, I'll pass it to Mike, mate. Sorry.
Mike
I
looks
think-
excited here.
No. I think there's a team like this. I don't know if it's this one, but I'm going to say Hartlepool.
Oh,
It's something
you were
like
close,
that,
but not close enough. You were.
isn't it?
It was Barrow.
Barrow.
He went to Barrow, Boreham Wood, and he's currently ploughing his trade at Hemel Hempstead.
It was the
in the National
blue.
League.
It was
I
the
think
blue.
he's.
that
I
sort
think
of had
he's.
in my head.
I think he's plying his trade, Youngie, isn't he? Not ploughing his trade.
I'm thinking it's more a plougher, to be honest with
It
you.
does
I'm
what
not
he
sure.
wants
I'm
anyway,
not sure
so-
where you've. I'm not sure where you've dug that one up from.
There you go. He's here all
Right, who's
week.
next?
Try the. Okay, next then. He loves a baby shower, especially when full isolation rules are on.
Hereford.
He is Correct. I even say his name, Montel Gibson. Yes, he is currently at Hereford. He's also played for Telford, Ilkeston, and Stourbridge in that meantime. God, we've got some quality. So 1-0. I will give Bruce an opportunity to equalise if he can. And I will go with signed from the National League South. No announcement was even made before he made his debut for us. He just turned up on the bench one day and we went, oh, we've got a new player. His name is Luke Spokes and he's played for 2 clubs since leaving town.
He went to. He's down in the southwest. Did he go to? I think he went to Bath City.
Correct. He did go to Bath City.
Is he now at Taunton?
Close, Chippenham in the
I knew he went to
National League
Bath.
South.
Kidding.
Oh.
I hope Ira Jackson Jr. is on soon.
I haven't got Ira Jackson Jr.
He's back at
unfortunately.
Folkestone and Vixus, isn't he? Wherever it is.
Oh, yeah, I would have got
No,
that one.
he's just announced his retirement. He's
Has he?
retired. Yeah. Okay.
I think he retired while he was playing for us.
Yeah, he did. Okay. The final one I will go with then is
Is this fastest finger?
Fastest. We'll just. We'll go literally process of elimination. I think he has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7, 8 clubs since leaving us 4 years ago. He's more famous for being married to a lioness. He is Joe Bunny.
Bury Town.
Berrytown.
Yeah. Or
Incorrect.
Macclesfield Town.
No, hang on. You've shouted out your answer. I'm going.
Oh, I didn't know it was
Macclesfield
one at a time.
The
Youngie,
correct
what's
answer
happened?
is he has said Macclesfield Town, and Macclesfield Town is one of them clubs.
Is that
So,
me? Did I win?
I think
Oh,
by
it's only-
default, Fenners wins. But
Yes.
Well, how is it? Oh, it's fastest finger
Ah.
first, but you're ruled out. Come on, this is like
But
catchphrase. You
to
can
be
go
fair,
again.
though, to be fair, Bruce, you did say fastest finger wins.
So you lost. Sit there in your loserness and accept it. You can't kick us all out.
It's a shit quiz anyway. Bloody load of
I
crap.
just beat Fenners in a Grimsby Town trivia quiz. That is going on my headstone.
Oh dear. What's going on? Hang on, I've got to find the closing credits in a minute. I'll bring Youngie back in a minute to say bye as he's hosting. He can come back and say farewell. My computer's a bit slow. You'll have to bear with me.
Do you know? I said earlier that we might have created a monster with this power in the group. I think you've demonstrated this, mate.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Giving you far too much power.
Right, everybody, let's welcome back your host for the evening, Richard Young.
Oh, hiya. Thanks for bringing me back. I was going to say we could do one more round and make it an official finish.
Go on then.
If you like.
Go on then.
Okay.
If he's moaning because he lost,
I don't care.
And we will do it as a take a turn process. Okay. Owen Windsor. Oh, he's bloody buggered off. He's
Newport.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a fair win
Yeah.
because Newport is on. Yeah, there you go. Would you have known that, Bruce?
No.
There you go. So there we go.
Now,
Clear winner now. No
on reflection,
arguments.
Bruce's knowledge about ex-town players is some really good players. You know, your Pountons, your Birtles, those sorts of things.
Yes.
Mine are Owen Windsor and a player whose name I've forgotten. You've only mentioned him 2 minutes ago. The big tall lad, Joe Bunny.
I'm. Bruce is you're very much of the attitude, Bruce, aren't you? There's one to the left, the dead to you, aren't there? That's pretty much your
No,
attitude.
I just don't really remember many of the players from the last. I would say the last 20 years, but that's not fair because there have been some that we've taken to our hearts, but yeah, there have been many that I wouldn't care to remember. I wouldn't recognise them if I saw them in the street or on a scooter.
Youngie, did you see what Bruce put in the group just before we came on?
Let's have a look.
He said, "Could we all be there before five to 8? Because I've made some changes."
We're an hour
Bruce,
and 12 minutes. We're an hour and 12 minutes here. This is too long. We need to be wrapping this up.
All right. Well,
we're still on.
Sorry.
I think we've done very well to last an hour and 13 minutes now. So
Yeah, we've lost 25 listeners though.
We never had 25 listeners.
It's gone down from 70. No. It's gone down from 77 to 52.
All right. Well, that's maybe our time.
That's your show. That's your show.
We've had a good run. So this is the final episode you'll ever see of DN35 from Mike, myself, and Bruce. It's been emotional, everybody. Alex will be back hopefully next week. Mike,
did we say anything litigious yet before we finish?
No.
Okay, I think we've finished then.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
And I think it's unfair to say it's gone to my head.
What a prat.
Liability.
He doesn't
close
know
the fucking show.
He doesn't know how to stop it. Look at him.